Here now is the senator from the greatest state in the nation, Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. Good to see you, Senator. Senator, what's your take on this conversation with regard to the debt limit? I mean, that Joe Biden is unprecedentedly saying, I won't negotiate with Kevin McCarthy. This is a car careening, about to go over a cliff.
Well, guys, there's a reason we have a debt ceiling. When we reach it, or we are about to reach it, we should be giving careful consideration for why we're reaching it. And we should use this moment to hopefully pass fiscal control so we don't reach it again, or we don't reach it quite so quickly. I think most people recognize that we have an unsustainable level of debt, and the debt's just going to continue. We're at $32 trillion now. President Biden has laid out a budget that'll take that to over $50 trillion over the next 10 years. It's time to get things under control. So I laid out the day after I won re-election 4 things I would attach to the debt ceiling. First would be Preventing Government Shutdown Act. It's a very reasonable provision, says that if you're so irresponsible, so dysfunctional you can't fund government, you don't shut it down, you just fund it at last year's level. The Full Faith and Credit Act, or as I like to call it, the No Default Act, just prioritizes spending, guarantees that we will never default on our debt, which I don't think is possible anyway. We have more than enough revenue to service our debt, pay for Social Security, Medicare, the top priorities of government, but pass something like that just in case, again, dysfunction sets in. Love to see the REINS Act rein in regulations so we can grow our economy, which is the #1 solution to these problems. So again, those are some ideas. The ball's in the House court, but what the House has to do is pass with Republican votes an increase in the debt ceiling. They can determine for how long or how much, but attach to it those types of fiscal controls.
But, Senator, it's the audacity of the President of the United States, as James Freeman wrote about in the Wall Street Journal in the last day, to say that a catastrophe is coming if the debt ceiling isn't raised, but then refuses to do a doggone thing to prevent said catastrophe.
Yeah, it's classic fear-mongering by the left. Again, there should be no crisis over this debt ceiling at all. We have more than enough revenue. We can service the debt, and I say take care of the top priorities. This is what Democrats do, scare the you-know-what out of the American public to get larger government, more government spending, which is why we're $32 trillion in debt and we're mortgaging our kids' future.
We just had the debt clock up. I mean, if we don't do something on the spending front, we're doomed for a currency catastrophe. So, again, great ideas. There's a lot of them out there. Hopefully, the House will pass a bill if Joe Biden refuses to negotiate.
Government will pay $640 billion in net interest this year.
Almost to where we're at with military spending.
Oh, what we could do with $640 billion. Or not.
So to set up those negotiations, I'm asking Speaker McCarthy and House Republicans pass and increase the debt ceiling attached to it. If you want to do some cutting to some of this green energy boondoggle spending, that type of thing, great. But pass something with Republican votes, start the process of negotiation by passing something.
Good ideas. All right, I want to move on because today is the day that the TikTok ban went into effect for government workers as they debate the Restrict Act, which gives new powers to the federal government to punish American citizens and regulate how they communicate on the internet. Of course, getting pushback from the left for sure. Watch this.
What's being proposed right now in Congress is censorship, is against the First Amendment, and is going to disenfranchise so many people in this country. I want the people to be awakened to the reality of what this rhetoric is producing, and it's not to protect them.
Senator, why do we have a bill that just bans TikTok? Why are we giving, or why do they want to give new powers to Joe Biden and the federal government, the executive?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this is being attacked from both sides, and I think probably legitimately so. I would opt for a much simpler bill, either ban TikTok or make sure it's sold to a completely U.S. interest. But I was listening to your earlier segment. Listen, if you're a parent with young children, watch Social Dilemma. Watch The Creepy Line. Be very careful in terms of allowing your children access to social media. It is not good for their mental health, not at all.
Before we go, really quickly, Senator, can we please put up the co-sponsors of this Restrict Act? It's Mark Warner's bill with Senator John Thune. There are all of these Republicans who have co-sponsored this bill. Most recently, Senator Lindsey Graham. There's some recognizable names up there. A lot of those signed on to that $1.2 trillion in spending during the last 2 years. Why in the heck are those Republicans getting on board with this?
Well, my guess, it was well-intentioned. They want to ban TikTok, and they just didn't read the fine print. But that's something you have to do here in Washington, D.C., because the people writing these bills, they might have a different intention than certainly what yours was. So be very careful. I think now that these alarm bells have been raised, I'm sure some of my colleagues are going to reevaluate their co-sponsor of that bill.
Senator Ron Johnson, thank you for joining us, and thanks for representing Wisconsin so well. We appreciate it.
Have a great night.